Excellent. So good evening and welcome to Visas, the Myths and the Facts with Gilda Pereira from Assessoria Migratoria. I think I've got that right, but if I put that in how I usually say it, how I'm more comfortable, it would be EI Migration Services. Good evening to you, Gilda. How are you? Tudo bem?
Hi, how are you, Carl? I'm fine. Thank you. And you said it very well.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. It's taken me quite a long time, but I think I've got my head around that now. Assessoria Migratoria. Good evening to you. It's so good of you to be here. We're going to have a very informative and I think fun hour. You're a rock star in the visa world. And so let's get cracking. If you could give us a bit of background on please, Gilda, that would be awesome tonight. And then we'll go into these 10 myths and facts about visas.
Okay, so as you know, was the first migration agency created in Portugal, and we started with a small office in Lisbon, and now we have office in Lisbon, Porto, Azores, and right now in the Algarve, and we have this partnership with Expats Portugal that it's going very well, and I hope that you are enjoying. I must say that I say this every time. I try to do my best to respond to everyone on time, but I know that there are some people waiting for step plans and for answers. Don't give up on us, because we are a team and we are growing. I guess that I told you on the Monday that we hired 7 new people. They are still learning, but of course that we want to grow, but still providing the services that we always provided. I don't want to cut the human part of this service. I could just grow and start doing visas like popcorns, but it's not what I wish to do. Okay, I wish to do things properly, and each case it's a different case, and I'm sorry that if sometimes I disappoint you, and I know it happens if I take too long to respond. You must insist, please insist. I will reply, and me or Francesca. And if I cannot reply, I will ask someone on my team to do it.
Excellent.
I know that people that already know me knows this, but it's important to explain that sometimes we cannot just give an answer that fast. But I prioritize humanized work and things well done than being in a rush.
Excellent. That's great to know. And there's the email address, as you can see by Gilda there, geral@aimigrant.pt. Okay, so let's go straight into these. We've got you until 8:30 this evening. As I said, it's going to be a fact-filled hour. Keep the questions coming in the chat, please. So do let me know if you have any questions that Gilda isn't or hasn't covered as yet, and you're really keen to get that question in. Address that to everybody in the chat, and I'll make sure it gets to Gilda. But we're going to go into those myths and facts right now, aren't we, Gilda? And I think you've got 10 of them for us.
Yes, I picked the most common misconceptions and about residency visas. When I talk about residency visas, it's mainly for this group. It's mainly for the D7 and the D2. Let's start with the first one. The first one, it's one of the most common questions, that is, with the D7 visa, am I allowed to work in Portugal? Do you know the answer, Carl?
Well, yeah, I was afraid you might do that to me. I think you can.
Yes, that's true. Although it's a visa that it's granted based on the income that you might have from your home country and from abroad. Once you have the resident permit, This visa allows you to work, allows you to settle your own business if you want to do so. And that's why the D7, it's such a great visa, because it gives you a lot of freedom. Once you have your resident permit, you are not attached to anything. You are not attached to a company. You are not attached to working for someone. You can apply for the visa with your own income, and then afterwards you can do whatever you want. Another question, and we still being on number one fact, but it's attached to this one. Another question that is very common is that is the remote work for the D7 considered as a passive income?
Yeah.
Okay. So according to the law, and this is what I think you can get most out of these webinars, is that you get the experience of someone that is working on this field every day. So one thing is what the law says, and the other thing is what happens in practice. And according to the law, the D7 is based on pensions, on royalties, on rental income that you might have from properties, and interests on investments that you have. Okay, but since the pandemic started and people were able to have their jobs remotely, the truth is that for those who have a work contract, and as long as the work contract or a letter from the company states that these people are able to keep their job remotely if they move to Portugal, it is considered as income for a D7.
Interesting. And that you make a really good point there about the letter of the law and interpretation, which, if I may say so, is quite a Portuguese thing, isn't there? There is, you know, the letter of the law and how people might view it. And then you get to know by working with various professionals that there are kind of gray areas and interpretations, and it's the professionals who are able to interpret that and have that happen for you, such as yourself.
Yes, and also because sometimes things move faster than the law.
Yes,
I believe that sometime in the future this is going to be a part in the law, but not yet. The law hasn't changed, although the consulates and SEF are considering remote work as passive income for applying for the D7 visa.
Very interesting. And you've got cases where that is actually the case, and you're learning that from your working knowledge of working with people.
Yes.
That will, I think, that will come as a great relief to some people, and new news and new good news, I think. We're getting lots of people talking to each other and celebrating their plans and their moves towards Portugal. A lot of them are working with you, and they're here tonight to clarify certain things, which is great. So get those clarifications in the chat. For example, Lonnie, hi, Gilles, I just sent my apostille documents to Millennium Bank to open my account, and will be arriving in Tourist on July the 15th to find an appointment. Thank you for the quality of your services. I will be living there by October. I should say that I think all of you tonight are premium members, and we thank you for that, for upgrading to premium from free. You can join the Expats Portugal community free of charge and use our basic level and become part of the community, but you get access to a whole bunch of perks and discounts by becoming a premium member. And thank you, all of you who've done that tonight, who are on the call, including VIP. Your name's on the list and you're through, and you're VIP on this webinar tonight. So thank you very much. So back to you for number 2 then, possibly, Gilda.
Yes, number 2, do I need to open a bank account before I go to Portugal? And I guess that's, I may say that if you are Americans and from the UK, you might know that you do have to open bank accounts to apply for the visa. But in Canada, I know that they don't make this mandatory on their list from the consulate. And that's why I want to bring this issue here. What the list of one consulate can be different from the list of other consulates. And even in the same country, the lists are different. So what do we need to focus on when we apply to the visa? We need to focus on knowing the law, of course, and try to tick all the boxes so that the visa is approved. And one of the requirements is that you need to show the income, you need to make proof that you have the passive income. But what the law also says is that, okay, you prove that you have an income, but you also need to prove that you are able to put that income in Portugal. That's why it's important to open a Portuguese bank account before you apply to the visa. Okay, and then people ask, okay, so how much should I put in a Portuguese bank account? And that's another question that it's not, you will not find this on the law, okay, but according to the practice, and we know that what the consulates and the CEF are looking for. Yeah. So they want to see that when the resident permit was granted for 1 year, they wanted to see that you had enough money in a Portuguese bank account that would sustain yourself for 1 year, meaning Portuguese minimum wage times 12 months. Now, and once again, this is not on the law. Now that the resident permit is granted for 2 years, they can make the exemption, and we are making this as exemption also because we don't like to make their life easier, to say no to the visas, that they are going to require 24 Portuguese minimum wages because the resident permit is going to be granted for 2 years. So they want to make sure that, okay, we will grant you the visa is going to lead you to a 2 years resident permit, and we want to make sure that you have this amount in a Portuguese bank.
Yep.
This doesn't mean that they cannot approve without this requirement. They can approve without this requirement, but remember that we are working in such a way that we don't want your visa to have any issue. So this is a recommendation that we do to our clients.
Again, from your working knowledge and knowing how it really works on the ground, regardless of the stated regulations on websites and so on.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Does that move us on to myth and or fact number 3?
Yes, let's go to fact number 3.
People are celebrating that they got their NIFs today. That's an important.
Yeah, some got their NIFs today and some got their visas today. And yesterday it was an amazing day because many people from the UK got their visas.
Okay.
Approved.
So a batch, and this is the new thing, obviously, for post-Brexit. Brits are needing to go the D7 route, and it's happening.
Yeah, it's happening, and it's going better than I thought. It's going better than I imagined. I thought that they were going to be messy about it because it was a new thing for them. But fortunately, things are moving and are moving well. We had no issues so far with the UK D7 visas, at least with the London consulate, which is the one that we already got visas approved from.
Excellent. Good news for Brits.
Yeah. I think things are going well for the British. Okay, so fact number 3. It's a very common question, and it's becoming more and more regular. Is that if I get a resident permit in Portugal, can I live in another Schengen country? Okay, and the answer to this is no, you cannot live. Okay, you can travel into the other Schengen countries, but you cannot establish in another Schengen country, because the country that grants you the visa and then the resident permit is the country that it's going to allow you to settle in. So if you have resident permit in Portugal and you want to go to France, for instance, you arrive in France with your Portuguese resident permit, and they are not going to allow you to enroll in the public health system. They are not going to allow you to exchange the driving license over there. So the answer is no. What you can do is that once you have a resident permit in Portugal, you can apply in Portugal for the resident permit for another country. But you cannot use your Portuguese resident permit to go and live into another country.
That's good to know. So really it is a Portugal residency, not a European residency.
Yes.
There's a distinction there. And what are the limitations? This addresses John's question that's come in. What are the restrictions on travel to other parts of Europe once you are resident in Portugal?
There are no restrictions, but now we can move to the fact number 4, which is related with the minimum period of staying in Portugal.
Excellent.
Okay.
Yeah.
To keep your resident permit, you need to stay in Portugal at least 6 months in a row, or 8 months if interpolated, in a year, knowing that the resident permit is now granted for 2 years, the first one. So people, you can travel inside the Schengen countries, outside Schengen countries, but when the time comes to renew your resident permit, you need to make sure that you were complying with these minimum deadlines, 6 months in a row or 8 months if interpolated.
Could you just clarify what that means? Like the total? Is that what you mean by interpolated?
Interpolated is if you get many ins and outs. Okay. In total, you have to be 8 months in a country.
Okay. All right.
In a year.
Yeah.
If they are consecutive, it's 6 months.
Okay.
Okay. Also, because this comes attached with your tax residency, you need to stay in the country at least 6 months and 1 day. And when someone just asked about the golden visa. The golden visa, it's not a residency visa, okay? It's a resident permit based on investment. So it's not under this minimum period of staying to keep it, okay? It's a different story. We are now addressing only the questions for the residency visas.
Okay, thank you for that.
I think we are going to the 5th now.
No, number 4.
Oh, number 4.
Yeah.
Okay. Do I get my Portuguese citizenship automatically after 5 years? I'm asked this question all the time, and the answer is nothing in Portugal is automatically first.
Another process.
Yes. We need to start another process, and this process for the citizenship takes about 1 year and a half.
Yeah.
Okay. So if it takes about 1 year and a half, after you have the resident permit is granted for 2 years, and then it's renewed, and the renewal is going to be good for 3 years. It makes 5. You can, on the end of you complied with the 5 years of staying in Portugal with the resident permit, and you can apply for the citizenship. But what do you do in the meanwhile? Because it takes 1 year and a half. Okay, you are not going to stay here illegal, so you need to renew it and apply for a permanent residency that is going to be good for 5 years. In the meanwhile, you run with your nationality process.
Okay.
Did you know that, Carl?
I need to get that straight with you, actually. So if you haven't, are you saying that you're putting yourself in some danger if you haven't initiated that in your second part of you? So 2 years first, then the 3-year part, but after a year and a half of the second part, you need to apply for your nationality at that point.
No, you need to apply for your residence permit, permanent, because if you don't do that and you only apply for the citizenship, in the 18 months that you are waiting for the citizenship, you are not going to be in a regular situation. So you need to make sure that on the 5th year, you renew your residency permit while applying for the citizenship.
Okay, and that counts as having taken some action and it is in process, but it's important to be in the process.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you. Good. All right, you can go to number 5 now.
Okay, number 5. Am I eligible for the Nhr Program?
Yes.
Under the D7 visa? And the answer is yes. The D7, the D2, and any other residency visas, you are eligible for the Nhr program, which is a tax benefit that we grant for foreigners that become tax residents in Portugal. Okay, the requirements are that you were not a resident in Portugal, a tax resident in Portugal in the past 5 years, and that you comply with the deadlines from when you changed your tax residency and you applied for the Nhr. But with our clients, we do control those deadlines because the visa is granted, the process is the visa is granted, then the visa is turned into a resident permit. And once you have your resident permit, you need to change your address in the NIF, in the tax office, and you become a tax resident. And then when you become a tax resident, we apply for the Nhr. So there aren't any mistakes on the way.
All right, so if I can jump in there. So to answer, and he's asking for a definitive answer here. Thank you. Good evening to you, Paul Richards. What comes first, residency or Nhr? Definitive answer, please. The residency comes first.
The residency comes first.
There you go.
The residence comes first because you can only apply for the Nhr once you are already a resident and a tax resident in Portugal.
There you go. Fantastic. Okay, definitive answer for Paul there. Are we moving on to number 6 now?
Yes. There are some people that keep asking me what about if I put this amount of money that I told in a Portuguese bank account, can I apply for the D7?
Yes.
And the answer is no, because what the authorities want to see is that, okay, you have savings, it's good because we know that you can sustain yourself in Portugal for the next 2 years, but they also want to see a steady income. It can be a pension, it can be a remote job, it can be a rental from a house, but it won't work only savings on a bank account.
Yeah. Well, okay. And we have that question coming up tonight, and that is the ingenuity of the human mind, trying to innovate an answer, isn't it? To, okay, so I need this amount of passive income. Can't I just load a load of money into a bank account and make it look like I'm rich and can take care of myself? That's not how it works with the D7, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right, folks. So nice try, but you need to demonstrate the flow of passive income rather than a lump sum. Is how I'm understanding that.
Yes, you're correct. But many people are becoming very creative about this. Okay, And it's good. It's good as long as some put investments and they show interests. Some put their houses to rent before they come to show the passive income. Some even buy a house and put on rental to show passive income. I know some people say, but if I have this money and I just put into a Portuguese bank account, it's the same story. You can have that with the golden visa if you put 1 million euros in a Portuguese bank account. Okay, that will work, but not for the D7 visa. They want to see an income coming every month or any source of income.
Okay, so if you're super rich, there are other ways, obviously, than the D7. But for the D7, you'll need to prove steady and passive income of a certain. Okay. All right. So onwards to number 7 then, and we'll come back. Because I want to make sure everybody gets their particular and specific questions answered, and you might have to reassert those in the chat. It's a very busy chat tonight with lots of particular and personal issues and questions. So you might have to ask me again. Forgive me if I overlook it in our haste here to cover all the myths and facts.
Okay, so we are going fast, so we can address most of the questions. The other fact is that when does the 6 months minimum staying start to count?
Yes.
Okay. Is that when the visa is granted? Is that when I arrive in Portugal? No, neither of those. The minimum stay in the country start to count when the resident permit is issued. Okay, on the day that you go to SEV is going to be the date that it's going to be stated in your residency card, and from that day on is when the minimum period of staying starts to count. The 6 months consecutive or 8 months if interpolated.
Okay.
And also, this is the rule, but there is an exception for every rule, okay? And the exception is that if you are not compliant with this minimum staying, what SEF and if SEF noticed, most likely they will not note. I don't know. Many times I see that they don't pay really attention to these, but if they note, and it happened to a client of ours, if they note that you are not compliant with the minimum period of staying, they will notify you to give an explanation. Okay, so you have you can explain to the Portuguese authorities why you were not complying with this minimum stay in the country, and what they accept as a justification for business purpose, family reasons, and health reasons. So if you have a good justification for not being compliant with those, and you can prove it, most likely they are going to renew it, even though if you were not compliant with the minimum period of staying.
Yes, and obviously that's going to be easier for somebody like you to do on the client's behalf than perhaps for them to do it themselves.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Loads of questions coming in the chat. Thank you, everybody, including things about voting in Portugal as well. But we will come back to that. We'll do our best to cover everything that's there. Gilda has to go at past, so we've got another 30 minutes. Jerry and I will be here after that, and we'll do our best to help. You can also catch Gilda every Monday morning on the Good Morning Portugal show, where we have a quick visa update then. And I know you've been amazing on that slot as well, Gilda, answering questions on a Monday morning. But let's see what we can do tonight. I think we're up to number 8, aren't we? In terms of myths and facts.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so the number 8 is actually one of the most difficult things to understand and to explain. Okay, right. And also because it depends from country to country. It's if I am the holder of a residency visa, can I come with my family to Portugal at the same time? Can they travel with me? Okay. And the answer is yes and no. Okay. Because yes, if you are from a country that you don't need a visa, a tourist visa to come to Portugal, okay? Or if you are from a country that is now granting tourist visas. Because of the family reunion, you are able to come together with your family as long as you bring the marriage certificate and the birth certificate of the kids, okay? But things become a little bit more complicated in countries like India, for instance, that you need a visa to get into the country, okay? And then you have one option: either you ask the consulate to grant a visa to your spouse and kids to come along with you, or you need to come to Portugal first, and then your family needs to apply for the family reunion.
Okay.
I must say that some consulates are being very comprehensive about this, and they are helping families to come together, and other ones are a little bit more difficult and don't give a chance, so people have to come separated. But the countries like Canada and United States and UK, it's very easy. You just travel with a marriage certificate or with the proof of a domestic partnership and the birth certificates of the kids. And yes, you can come to Portugal altogether.
Okay, so definitely a yes and no thing there, and obviously best
Yeah.
to find out from you. Specifically there, while we're on that subject, Anna asks, we're saying, hi, Carl and Gilda, we're putting together our documents for submission for the D7 visa. Must a copy or original of the marriage certificate and police clearance certificate be apostilled? Our attorney informed me that if the original marriage certificate is submitted, it will not be returned. What's your experience of that, Gilda? Is it best to get apostilled documents rather than sending in originals, which could then be not returned or get lost?
No, the documents should be apostilled when they go to the consulate. So what people can do if they don't want to deliver the original is that they can do a certified copy of it. So they can show the original and they can show the certified copy with also the apostille on it, and they can ask from them to stay with the certified copy.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's good to know. There you go, Anna. That's for you. So a bit of a yes, no on that one about the family and family reunification, depending on where you're coming from. And myth number 9, or is it a fact, or is it both?
Okay, it's about the accommodation.
Yes. Okay, and the lease that you need to show.
Yes, this is one of the most picky parts of getting a visa.
Yeah.
For some time, it was reasonable, and consulates would accept an Airbnb for the first 4 months period as an accommodation. Some consulates still accept that, but not in countries such as United States. Now they demand 1 year lease.
Yeah.
Because when many people are looking to migrate from one country, they will make it more difficult. And your intention to show to the consulate needs to be more serious. Okay. So once again, this is not on the law, but in practice, most likely, and to approve the visa, they will ask you for 1 year lease agreement. You can, someone is saying it's no longer 6 months lease. Most of the consulates are now asking for a 1 year lease agreement.
Okay.
Okay. What you can do is that you can try to negotiate with the owners of the apartments and the houses, and try to make a promissory rental agreement saying that you are going to take that place once your visa is going to be approved. You can try to negotiate that, or you can try to negotiate a lease agreement with the date in the future, something that you make your calculations and and you know that most likely your visa is going to be approved in 2 or 3 months, and you try to negotiate a contract that it's going to start on that date.
Okay. But the ideal is the 12-month lease, and we have a partner we work with, Spot a Home, who can help with that. And I know you work personally with people to help if that is a bit of an issue as well, right, Gilda?
Yes, yes.
Okay. All right, let's take it to number 10 then, myth number 10, and then we'll go into some more specifics with people after that.
Yes, okay. So number 10 is it's not a myth and a fact, it's just an advice, okay?
Okay.
It's it's what works for this is because people read lots of information in the Facebook groups and on the forums.
Yeah.
What works for one consulate might not work for another consulate, and the requirements can be different, such as the lease agreement, the health insurance, the travel insurance, because some just want the travel insurance, some want travel insurance and health insurance, some just are okay with health insurance for 6 months, others want health insurance for 1 year.
Yeah.
Okay, so you need to be aware when you are in these forums that what worked for one person might not work for you because of the consulates that you belong to. And this is why our work is very difficult, because every time we have a request from a consulate, we need to ask the consulate what are their requirements. Of course, that if we have consulates that we work every day, we already know. But sometimes, like yesterday, I had a request from Bolivia, and the consulate is in Peru. It's a consulate that I don't work for 2 or 3 years now, so I need to go and check.
Yeah.
What are the requirements? So the last one was more an advice.
Okay, thank you for that. So we can go to some specifics now, and there are a lot of them. And don't be afraid to reassert yourselves in the comments and in the chat with your specific question. That's what we're here to do tonight, to get you closer to moving to Portugal and addressing those personal issues about the visas and residency. And if we can return to, this was David's question earlier on, the health insurance, what is it generally that is being looked for? Or to put it another way, what do you advise in terms of what health insurance package people should be looking for to most likely satisfy the requirements?
The most common and the one that I assure that it's always approved, it's to buy a Portuguese health insurance, because that shows that you are really committed to move into the country. And this health insurance should start, you should put the starting date closer to when you have your interview in the consulate. And it's going to be a 12 months. So they are going to be happy with that, because it's going to cover the periods that you have the visa and the period that you are going to have your appointment, because you need to show a health insurance when you go to your SEC appointment. Yeah. And they will be happy with this, okay? There is a minimum coverage. So sometimes the cheapest option of the health insurance, it's not accepted, because the minimum that they accept is 30,000 euros of medical expenses. Okay. And that is normal option 2 or option B. Yeah. But I would say that to make everybody happy is a 12 months health insurance with a Portuguese company.
Okay, and a quick question from Tameka, who's concerned that you can't buy Portuguese insurance until you are a resident. You can buy it as a foreigner, can't you?
Yes, of course. Everybody is applying for health insurance to get the visas.
Yeah.
What you need to have is an if number that is mandatory.
Okay. Yes, it's surprisingly that we're 11 minutes past 8, and the NIF has only been mentioned briefly before, and the people are celebrating getting those today or in the last few days, and obviously you help people with NIF numbers. Another group of questions is there's this sense that people think they have more of a right to residency if they've already bought a home here. Is there any truth in that?
If they buy a home here,
Yes.
if they buy a home here, then it's no need of the lease agreement. And yes,
for residency, does that bode well in your process if you can say, well, I've got a house here? I think not, but obviously we're checking.
No, yes, it's good for your process. Of course, it's going to be good for your process that you bought. If you say that you bought a property here, say that you are really committed in coming to the country.
Oh, okay. All right. So but that's more of a kind of peripheral thing. It's not a requirement, obviously.
No, it's not a requirement.
But it will bode well in your experience if people are able to say that. Okay.
Yes.
And does one of the questions I saw earlier as well, does income, if you make it a rental property and you're not living there, would that qualify for passive income as well?
It does.
Okay.
It does.
Okay, that's good to know. Yes, I think Jerry's been great in pointing out that there might be some confusion over residency and citizenship, and we can tie that up with voting. Somebody was asking what sort of president they might be able to vote for. You can only vote once you have become a proper citizen of the country, right? That's not part of the perks of having residency here.
Yes, that's correct. Except for Brazilians, that they can ask for a special status that they will be treated as Portuguese, because there is a treaty between Portugal and Brazil. So if they get this status, that it's called equally status for residents, they can vote.
Okay, so again,
but it's one exception. It's one exception.
Yeah, but part of the general thing here of, it's kind of yes and no. There will be exceptions, and it's always worth checking on what those exceptions
Yeah.
are. All right. I heard this, and I want to ask you this, and I think somebody else mentioned it in the chat as well, about the level of language required and speaking Portuguese, obviously European Portuguese, to become a Portuguese citizen. Is there any truth in these rumors that those examinations are being made more easy, or that it's not even going to be a requirement soon?
No, I think they are going to be required, but I think that they are talking about making it more easier. But to be honest with you, I never had a client that didn't get the nationality after 5 years because of the language requirements.
Okay, that's good.
Even those that think that they are not ready, I think they make it easier.
That's good to know, Gilda. Okay, let's go here now. Spouses and different parts of the EU, different countries. Leah asked, my spouse just found out they will be able to get dual citizenship from Luxembourg. This is very specialist and very personal. So now, instead of needing the D7 visa, we will be moving there as EU citizens with a non-EU spouse. Can you help with such a case?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Yeah, we do. There are many people here, the members that already did that process with us. It's a different process. It's not a visa process, but yes, we can help.
Excellent to know. Okay, a little bit of concern from some about step plans and the time it's taking to get a step plan. There's Gilda. The simple thing to do is to send a message in, right, to your email address there, Jirel@aimigrante.
I know, because I'm going to explain. Some people may think that that I get lost on this, but I have a file with all the step plans that I need to send.
Yep.
So I know exactly, and even from the people that I see here, I know exactly the step plans that I need to send. Mm-hmm. What happens is that there are two criteria for sending the step plans. One is, of course, the date of the interview, and the other is the time when people want to relocate.
Yeah.
Okay. I try not to be very delay on this, but now it's the time where people that have kids want to relocate because they need to be in school in September.
Yeah.
So I do have to prioritize these people.
Yeah.
Another thing is that I like to make the step plans myself. Maybe I'm realizing that it's not going to be possible to do that in the near future. I will need to ask for some help, but I like to talk with the people, know what the people, I take my notes and I have a file with all the step plans that I need to send. So I know, and I know the date of the interview, and they are put it in as I told, one folder is the date of the interview, and then the other one is the priority if they have kids and if they have appointments.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So no need to send an email because I know, and they are going to get, of course, they can, sometimes the situation change. And we had the case here this week that someone was waiting for a house to be sold. The house was sold, and then it became a priority. Yes. Or they had one deadline, and then they just say, "Okay, we don't want to wait no more. We want to go," and then it's a priority. And another thing is that I might take time to send step plans, but you need to know that I have a team behind me. And once we start the process, I start to delegate the different steps on the different departments, okay? So the NIF is one department, the visa is another department, the relocation, like looking for a house, it's another department, the resident permit is another department. So people get stressed, and I understand that, and I feel guilty for that. And you know, Carl, we talked so many times about this. I feel guilty for not being able to send all the step plans in the time that I am supposed to do.
Yes, okay. But suffice to say, you're on top of it, and you're working according to priority.
Yes.
And
yes.
And we understand.
And just send me an email if your priorities change, and say, Gilda, I want my step plan tomorrow, or this is it. I won't work with you anymore, and it's fair enough. So just be that straight with me, and I will send the step plan.
So it's a matter of understanding the level of priority. You do understand people's stress, and just a little bit of an email in with a reminder that will be dealt with by the team to put people's minds at rest.
Yes.
All right. Yes. Excellent. All right. Here's a sort of a cheeky nudge again. This about a large lump sum versus the passive income. So if you have 10 million euros in a Portuguese bank, you still have to show passive income of, say, 1,000 euros a month. And that's been answered by somebody else who says basically you would be going for the golden visa approach. Probably.
Yes, because if you have 1 million, you can go for the golden visa. You don't need to show passive income.
Yep. So there you go. You would be in a different class of residency visa for that, or coming into Portugal. Good. Okay. This is Terrell. Thank you. Terrell, I beg your pardon. Thank you for giving me this nudge. What does Gilda advise as a plan B if our plan A was to move to Portugal under a D7, but workplace changes mean we may not be able to stay the minimum 6 months to 8 months interpolated after all? People are really picking up the lingo. E.g., I would like to stay 4 to 5 months each year, but cannot make the full 6 months, and my job may no longer allow me to be away, which is a change from the previous plan. I plan to shift to a half-year retirement in a year or two, so the limitation on not being able to make the 6 or 8 months would be only for a year or two. Can you apply and take advantage of the, that little bit of movement there? Could that plan be put forward as part of the application, and might that be seen favorably?
I would submit the application, and I would, I don't know how many members there are, but I assume that if it is more than one people, one is working and the family is going to be based here, okay? So I had one case in the past of something like that, and we did the process, it worked fine. People need to be here for the CEF interview. That's very important. And then if the family stays, the minimum stay, and one person in the family needs to go out for more than 6 months, okay. What happens is that if CEF asks why, he has a justification that is foreseen in the law. It's
Very
for
good.
business reasons.
Yeah.
And then we need like to make a requirement to CEF explaining and proving that. Okay. So I think I would go for that and deal with the problem in 2 years.
Terrell says, it's just me alone. My job may not give me a letter saying it's okay to be away for 6 months. Should I find a Portuguese person to marry? Haha. So that
yes, of course, Terry. We can take care of that.
We'll sort that out for you as well. Okay, I think that's.
I'm sorry to hear that, Terry.
Yeah, I guess that's for a conversation between you both.
Yeah, we will talk. We will talk.
Yes. Okay. And you mentioned CEF. We've been talking about CEF all evening. There is a major reorganization going on with CEF, of course, isn't there? How is that affecting things at the moment?
Sorry, I didn't get that.
With CEF in Portugal, there's a large reorganization going on. Is it mainly a branding thing, or is it causing?
Oh, I know why I didn't get that, because you talked about CEF and I go blind.
Right. Okay. So what do we take from that? Is there a difficulty going on behind the scenes there, and how do we prepare for it?
Yes, there is a difficulty. Okay. They now say that they have no vacancies for whatsoever. So what is going on is that people that are getting the visas, they are getting the appointments because the consulates makes the appointments for them. Okay. in the CEF. Although it's very funny because a couple can get an appointment at the same day at the same CEF. It happened to us, one at 9 a.m. and the other one at 7 p.m.
Oh dear, right. Okay.
So you need to stay all day. And we try to talk to CEF and say, but they're a couple, the process is here, let's do the two of them together. No, they have to wait. So the couple and the lawyer from A that went with them had to wait, the whole day long to do the process. So they are going, they are very stressed. Okay, they are very stressed, and this is not a good time to go to CEF alone. And this is an advice, because they are a little bit frustrating about all the changes that are going on. And people that are working at CEF at this moment, they know that they are no longer going to be working there. So they are, because they are going to be relocated to other places. They are no longer going to, so they are like, we don't care.
Okay.
We don't care.
All right. And that's why we need someone like you to go along with, or somebody in your team.
Yes, because as they are like this, we are facing problems that we didn't face before. They are getting too picky, or some they just don't want to see anything, and they just put, and it's okay, go. It depends, but there is a lot of frustration going on with CEF right now.
Okay, but I'm going to underline that, Gilda. I mean,
yes, and the chases are. I noticed that the chases are, which are our clients. They just got the visas approved, and it was yesterday. I guess I was very happy for them. It was fast. Okay. And they are a married couple, and they got.
Mr. Chen.
Hi, congratulations. Thank
you so much. It's a reason for celebration in that house. Yeah. That's fantastic.
But
I've got to ask you this, Gilda. I mean, this is what people are employing you for, is to go along with them to these meetings, right? To bring it back to what the civil servants are meant to be doing. And people are going to stand a much better chance of that happening if you go along and do it and remind them of their duty. And the other thing I discovered about you is that you are sometimes asked by government what your view is on these things. So you are a bit of a mover and a shaper within these areas, and it's people are much more likely to be taken seriously if they have you representing them, if you're by their side or somebody in your team is by their side, right?
Yes, of course, of course. And they will respect, and they know that they cannot come up with funny things because we are not going to make their life easier.
Good. Okay. All right. That's reassuring to know. That's why you employ Imigrant and Gilda and team to manage these things for you in what are, let's face it, quite difficult times, backlogs, pandemic. There are many challenges to this process, and we're helping it at every angle as best we can, notwithstanding all these global circumstances. And as you can see there, Gilda, challenging professionals within governmental departments on your behalf, which I think is an excellent thing and part of the value of the service there. I know you've got to go in a few minutes, Gilda. You will be back, of course, on the Monday on the Good Morning Portugal show to give an update. It's another chance for people to ask questions. People working with you directly is obviously the way to go as well. Geral@imigrant.pt. What occurs to you that we haven't covered tonight that you want to share with us? Because people want to, I don't know if you could do this very quickly. People do want to know a little bit more about the NHR and the D2. These are the major things I think I've missed tonight. Are you able to give me a very quick rundown of both of those?
Okay, the D2 is when you want to. There are two different ways about going with the D2. Okay, one is you are a freelancer and you are to open an activity in Portugal, and you apply with your contract as a freelancer.
Yeah.
We are having a little bit of problems with this. Okay. And some people that I am about, or that are waiting for the D2 step plans, the reason why I'm holding them is because I'm checking with the consulates, because the Foreign Affairs told us that it's possible to do a D2 without having render service with a Portuguese company.
Yeah.
Okay. But the consulates don't know that yet. So we are in a process of letting them know what the Minister of Foreign Affairs told us and showing them the email of Foreign Affairs. And we are facing a little bit of a problem with the D2 for freelancers.
Okay.
Okay. At the moment, I think it's going to be temporary. It's just like getting them educating. And the other part of the D2 is if you want to incorporate a company in Portugal. You incorporate a company in Portugal, you present a step plan, you open a corporate bank account, and that's pretty much straightforward.
Yeah. Okay. And very briefly, can we have sort of NHR 101 in about 60 seconds?
Yes, NHR, it's a program that once you become tax resident in Portugal, you need to change your tax residency into Portugal, and this means that you need to declare your worldwide income. And then people stay a little bit scared, because while declaring the worldwide income, if they are going to be taxed or not. So the rule under the NHR is you are not going to be taxed on the income that you have abroad if you are already taxed in the country that is granting you this income, or if the country could tax you but doesn't do it. This is awesome, isn't it? Okay. Exception made for private pensions where they are taxing 10%.
Okay, and that's fairly new development.
Yes. I hope I answered that.
Yes, and we do have other videos on our YouTube channel. We do have introductions to the NHR as well. We cover so many things on there, over 500 videos now. Jerry and I will stick around, but we thank you for now, Gilda. We'll see you on Mondays, and we'll come back and do more of these. Before you go, can you translate for us what's on the slide behind you there? a contribuir. I can't see with you. Your hair's in the way just at the moment. I need to find out what that means on there.
Oh, but it's something like it's our mode. It's something like breaking boundaries since 2014.
Breaking boundaries and frontiers since 2014. Thanks for coming in to you. My thanks to you as well for being here this evening. Thank you for an amazing and information-rich session there. Jerry and I will stick around to take a few other questions and help as best we can. But yes, thanks, Gilda. Thank you, Gilda. Thanks, Gilda. Obrigado, Gilda. And thank you so much, Gilda. Great information.
Thank you so much. And those that are really want to get the step plan soon, I will be working on step plans tomorrow and on the weekend, because to be honest, I need quiet time to work on those. Just send me an email, probably directly to me, so I can get it faster. I will put my email here. And Vanda, now that is watching, is saying, Gilda, don't do this, you are going to.
Thank you, Vanda, for your and testament to Gilda's commitment there, promising some work over the weekend. Get out and take
No, I do that because the step plans, to be honest with you, either I take a day off the office to do it, or I have to do those at night or during the weekends.
Wow.
Because it's impossible, and I was explaining that to Jerry the other day. It's impossible to work on a step plan that is different from family to family, from situation to situation, and some of them, I tell you, are not easy. You need to have a lot of concentration and a lot of thinking, and that's why I prefer to do it out of the office, because it gets too noisy here. And we are only human now, you know that.
In the hubbub of the capital in Lisboa there. Well, best regards to all your team, who I know are really working very hard at the moment, and the newcomers who are expanding your team. Gilda, thank you very much. Muito obrigado. E boa noite.
Boa noite, boa noite.
Okay.
I have to go now. And if you, very nice to see you. I know lots of you, and I really, those that I don't really know in person yet, I hopefully get to know in person. And amazing thing that is happening. Amazing. It's now that the Americans are open for tourism. I got lots of visits this week in the office. Some of them surprise visits from the clients and from the members. And I was really happy about it. So if you pop up in Portugal, just come and say hi.
Always open for a cafe and nata with or a glass of wine possibly later in the day. With Gilda there. Thanks, Gilda. Have a great evening and bye for now.
Thank you. Bye bye.